Hello and welcome! Today we are in the new Tier 9 Spanish battleship, Victoria. At first, she was very reminiscent of the Italian battleship Roma for me, with her looks, her 381mm main batteries, her speed, maneuverability, etc. But Victoria also gets a funny button. Her F key is burst fire. She fires 2 salvos quickly and then gets a long reload. Now, some of you might think that this sounds extremely broken, but it isn't. Not really. You see, the F key on Victoria has another downside. Her shell damage is reduced by 25%, instead of the normal 12,000 damage that each of her AP shells do. The burst-fired AP shells do 9,000 damage. Effectively, this means that you're not getting 2 salvos worth of damage, but rather 1.5 times, so 50% more. Victoria has 9 guns, times 12,000, means that her broadside is 108,000 damage. Add 50% to this and you get 162k. This is only about 5% more than Minnesota's broadside, and Minnesota is pretty bad. And unfortunately, as a Tier 9 battleship, she's gonna be in Tier 10 battles all the time, where you can meet Vermont, that has a much heavier broadside than Victoria gets, even with burst fire. So the heaviness of Victoria's broadside, even with burst fire, is definitely not a reason to worry. It's not gonna break the game. Also, in case you're thinking of being clever with HE, like I did, to use the burst fire to start more fires, it's not gonna work. I tried. It doesn't work because Victoria has abysmal fire chance, 24% on her HE shells. There are cruisers with that kind of fire chance, with much smaller guns, let alone battleships. She's definitely one of the worst battleships to fire HE with. Victoria does get another relevant consumable though, reload booster. It only has 2 charges though, and it is only minus 33% to the reload time, compared to the usual minus 50% that many other ships have. But hey, it is just a straight up boost, and it does last for 30 seconds, so you're gonna get a little more than an extra salvo out of it. It does have a 5-minute cooldown though. But for all of this, Victoria does pay quite a price. She has 381mm guns, which means that you cannot overmatch 27mm of armor. Ships like Des Moines, Buffalo, Baltimore, etc. can just point their bow at Victoria, and there's very little she can do about it. However, despite the 381s, she does actually get about the same penetration power as Iowa does with her 406s. In fact, until like 20 kilometers, Victoria actually has a tiny bit more pen. It's a very small difference though. Victoria does get less damage per minute than Iowa though, by about 11%. Victoria gets standard battleship dispersion, so she's actually worse than Iowa at that because American battleships get the stronger dispersion upgrade. But she does get a sigma of 2 compared to Iowa's 1.9, so she's probably about as accurate as Iowa. And Victoria has 23.9 kilometer range, so you're definitely not suffering like the Italian battleships do. Victoria's base speed is 30 knots, making her decently fast. Her concealment is very good for a battleship. It gets down to 11.7 kilometers with all the concealment stuff, and an 8.7 kilometer air conceal. But her anti-air is not that great, it's just too short range. Her secondaries exist. That's about all you can say about them. She has 64,800 HP, which is very low for a Tier 9 battleship, might even be the lowest. There are a bunch of cruisers at that tier that have more HP than Victoria does. But her armor is actually pretty good. She has a 32mm standard battleship bow, as expected, 45mm deck armor, and a 75mm side armor plate. Her citadel is above the waterline. You can see it pretty clearly here. It might only say 40mm here, but that's because the torpedo protection has the other 375mm belt. This is actually pretty thick armoring for a Tier 9 battleship, and as you can see, it clearly has spaced armor there as well. And you might have noticed that this armor plate here actually protects the citadel from the front. Essentially, you're not going to be able to citadel this ship through the front, because if you go through the 32mm part, right, you overmatch it as a Yamato or something, well, the bow is so long that you're gonna explode way before you get into the citadel most of the time, or if maybe even every single time. So Victoria is pretty well armored with a citadel that still sits above the waterline, so if you do show actual broadside, I believe that she is gonna get citadeled. Captain skills and upgrades wise, it is a standard battleship build. I like these, but play with whatever you like most. I don't really like fire prevention that much. I mean, it's a great skill, it's just that I don't know if 4 points are worth it. I like the heals a little bit more. Anyway, as expected, we are in a tier 10 battle with CVs, so there's plenty of things that can go wrong in this match. Hopefully, they won't. So I think you want to play this ship kind of like you want to play the Roma, in that you want to flank the enemy. That's when your shells are most effective. You know, that applies to really every battleship, but particularly on this one because, well, you can't overmatch even 27mm of armor, but your pen is pretty good. And the burst fire does fire a decently heavy broadside, not to mention you have a reload booster as well. Also, that is a nice broadside you have there, Seattle. Well, I mean, we did like, what, 6,000 damage? That's pretty okay. I was really hoping for a lot more though. Sadly, we just got over penetrations. I have to be very careful in this match though. The Victoria is pretty low HP for a battleship, so it's pretty easy to get focused. And the biggest worry about that focus is really the aircraft carrier, because if she starts focusing me, it's gonna be difficult to survive. I was thinking of firing burst fire against the Montana, but she's turning in, so the salvo actually won't be that effective. Oh, is that Seattle reversing? Oh yeah, this is what we want. Oh, that looked great. Come on, what do we get? Oh, 2 citadels and 3. That Seattle is basically dead. We've done like 40,000 damage to that Seattle already. Like if she gets spotted, she is just toast. I'm gonna reverse a little bit, hoping that Seattle gets spotted, but I think I can't really afford to stand still, and it does take a while for the ship to actually start moving. Oh, there is the Seattle, 5k HP, nice. I don't know if I can hit her though. Well, never mind. Yeah, we definitely can't if Colombo finishes her off. Reason I thought I couldn't hit her is because my guns were still reloading, and it was possible the Seattle would actually just get behind the island before that. But I noticed something else on the minimap. There is a Schlieffen and a Missouri pushing. And if we push a little bit into the enemy here, we might be able to get the broadside of those 2 battleships. We might also get the Minotaur if she decides to join the push. So this is an excellent opportunity. Come on, Minotaur, are you gonna come out? Nah, she isn't. Well, I mean, we'll just have to settle for the Missouri and the Schlieffen. I do have to worry a little bit about showing too much broadside myself, because they might just punish me in return. Ooh, that was a nice salvo on the Missouri. I mean, we landed 7 of the 9. It's pretty good. I really should I would really like to turn in. I don't know if I should. Okay, no, I definitely should. Damn. That salvo from the Montana, 20,000 damage. Not good. I fire burst fire because I think Missouri might angle, or she might just die or get behind the island. So I wanted to get as much damage out as possible, but I think it might have been a mistake. Might have been better not to fire burst there. Oh well, it is what it is. Actually, no, I take it back. It definitely was the right choice. Because if I fire now, Missouri is angled. Yeah, I don't think I can get another shot against her. If Missouri gets around the island, FTG is gonna take her, and if she doesn't, eventually someone else around there will. So, let's just shoot at the Baltimore, who I cannot overmatch. That Baltimore is perfectly angled against me. Luckily though, she's so low HP that just hitting the superstructure will still deal damage. Not enough though, but somebody else takes care of her. I could try to chase the Montana, but I think that is a mistake. I think it makes much more sense to go into the B cap. It is a bit dangerous because that will possibly open me up for the enemy aircraft carrier, since I will essentially be alone in that B cap, and because of the way the islands are positioned, I can't exactly turn away and just completely run. I'll have to sail a little bit showing side to the enemy, and then I can turn to run. Okay, I am a little worried about Montana hitting me back again, so maybe we can't actually enter the B cap. At least not until she's alive. Oh, we did 15,000 damage. That's pretty good. Probably shouldn't have burst fire though, but it is what it is. Because if I didn't burst fire, I could fire again. Okay, the CV is attacking me. Never mind. Doing what I did was actually fine. Because right now I'm trying to dodge the CV, and I would be unable to shoot anyway. I am showing too much sight to the Montana. I hope I don't get punished for that, like I did previously. We took 2 torpedoes, and we're gonna take some more. Unfortunately, not much we can do. Ooh, that's a Yamato, and she's showing sight, so I might actually be able to get some damage. Man, we took another 2 torpedoes. Wow, those... I thought these torpedoes on this CV did like no damage, but 10,000 from 2. That's pretty surprising. Anyway, we are healthy, so I don't think the CV is gonna continue focusing us. There's plenty of other targets at this point. So this time I do fire. I do think that burst fire here is the correct choice. Because something to consider is that when you burst fire, your guns go on reload for a long time, and that means that I'm gonna fall into concealment. And one of the worries I have is that I don't really want to fight the Yamato, and at the time Montana was still alive, so being in concealment for a longer duration is actually useful. So taking that salvo, I think with burst fire was the right choice. Because now Yamato is aiming at someone else. Oh, hello Minotaur. Now we don't burst fire here for sure. Not yet at least. Okay, I'm just gonna take... Wait, what? How is that Yamato dead? She had so much HP when I fired at her. Wow. I guess my teammates really do some crazy damage there. Okay, well, Minotaur is in smoke. There's a CV spotting us, so Minotaur can just freely fire at us. There's a good chance she launches single launch torps. So eating these torpedoes could literally end my game. So avoiding them is critically important. And unfortunately, because of the... Oh, wait, what? She sailed out. What are you doing, Minotaur? I mean, I'll take it. But that was... Wait, I didn't... Oh my god. I didn't sink her with burst fire. Man, that's unfortunate. And the Minotaur actually did not single launch those torpedoes, which is a huge mistake. Because, sure, you have more coverage when you launch the torpedoes on in a wider spread, right? But there's basically no risk to the battleship when you do that. Because if you eat the single torpedo, you're not gonna die. Whereas if you single launch them in a line, if they eat that one torpedo, they're eating like 3 or 4 more, and then they're dead. So single launch in this situation would be much, much scarier than the widespread that she did. Okay, my guns are turned. Can we please spot the Essex again? I would like to greet her with my AP shells, please. Thank you. Meanwhile, my ship is gonna be sailing towards the defense, and the Izumo. Because I think the Essex, if she gets spotted, she's gonna die in like 30 seconds. Because everybody is gonna want to shoot her. And then I'll need a new target. Burst fire here is probably a mistake. Yeah, oh my god. I missed completely. Actually, no, I take it back. Burst fire was the right choice. I just had bad aim. Reason being that, well, Essex was showing broadside earlier. She isn't anymore. So burst fire was actually the correct choice. Just the ship was spotted too late and the aim wasn't good enough. Because look, I only got one salvo on her and now we're fighting something else. Can I do damage to the defense through the bow here? You know what? I'm just gonna burst fire through the bow. Oh, I started too late. The first turret missed entirely. Oh my god, I messed up. I messed up bad. I'm gonna reload booster here. I'm gonna... Oh, no. Torpedoes as well. This is bad. I really shouldn't have burst fired there. Because I didn't quite think about the fact that I could shoot an Izumo right now. If I didn't burst fire, I would be shooting that Izumo. Sadly though, I made the mistake of burst firing. Here I made another mistake. I should have pre-aimed so that I could instantly fire my guns. Sadly, I didn't. Ooh, triple citadel, 5 citadels. Sadly, we didn't actually finish the Izumo. Here I make yet another mistake by sailing forward. I should have just stood still. Unfortunately, I was worried about the Kagero, and now we exactly know where she is, but it's too late because I'm already moving. So the worry isn't the Kagero or the Izumo, it's the defense, right? The defense is gonna get my broadside, and I only have 5k HP. I don't think I can angle at this point even enough. And even if I do, you know, the Kagero would kill me anyway. Oh, never mind. Well, we got one salvo off. I think that's good enough. So, I like Victoria. I think she's a cool ship. Her biggest downside is that she's tier 9, which means you get into tier 10 battles. But we did 209,000 damage. We sadly didn't sink any ships, but we got a lot of citadel hits. The burst fire works, but honestly it really just feels like a heavier broadside, like a Minnesota for example. It's really the reload booster that makes the ship a little bit better. But she does have the HP of a super heavy cruiser, I guess. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would like to thank the patrons on Patreon. Thank you very much for your continued support, and I hope I'll see you guys next time.